What if the reason your love life keeps failing isn't them, it's you? What if every heartbreak, every disappointment, every moment of loneliness is actually your heart screaming for something you've been ignoring, your own self-trust? Imagine living a life where you don't chase validation, you don't settle for less, and you don't compromise your peace just to feel loved. Imagine having the clarity to know exactly what you want, the courage to say no when it hurts, the consistency to keep your promises to yourself, and the compassion to forgive your own mistakes. What if mastering just these four things could completely transform the way you love, the way you're loved, and the way you show up in every relationship? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to stop betraying your heart, how to become someone your own soul can trust, and how to finally attract the love that has been waiting for you all along. What if the reason you keep falling into the same heartbreak over and over again isn't the people you choose, but the fact that you never truly know yourself? Clarity isn't just knowing what you want. It's understanding who you are when nobody is watching, when the world isn't applauding, and when no one else can tell you it's okay to pause and reflect. Most of us rush into relationships with foggy hearts and cloudy minds, mistaking desire for connection, infatuation for compatibility, and fear of being alone for love itself. We settle because we don't know what settling feels like. We compromise because we can define our boundaries, and we stay silent because we haven't found our own voice. True clarity forces you to confront the parts of yourself you've been avoiding, the insecurities, the patterns, the emotional triggers that dictate your choices without you even realizing it. It asks you to answer the hardest questions. Who am I outside of a relationship? What do I refuse to tolerate? What lights me up and what drains my soul? And the moment you can answer these, a strange transformation happens. The people who once confused you, the connections that left you empty, and the love that felt like a gamble suddenly make sense. You begin to see that heartbreak wasn't random. It was a reflection of your uncertainty, your blurred lines, your compromise with yourself. Clarity allows you to stop searching desperately for someone to complete you and instead start recognizing the patterns that have been keeping you incomplete. It's not about being rigid or perfectionist. It's about being honest, ruthless even, with your own needs and desires. And here's the shocking truth. When you finally have that clarity, you'll notice that love doesn't chase you anymore. Instead, the right people are drawn to the authenticity that clarity creates, to the confidence that comes from knowing exactly what you will and will not accept. Every choice becomes easier, every red flag becomes visible, and every relationship you step into has the potential to feel secure, intentional, and deeply fulfilling. What if the reason your love life feels stuck isn't that the right person hasn't appeared, but that you've been too afraid to stand up for yourself? Courage in love is not about grand gestures or fearless declarations. It's about the quiet, almost invisible moments when you choose yourself over comfort, when you honor your heart even if it shakes, and when you refuse to settle for what feels safe but empty. Most people will stay in relationships that drain them, tolerate behavior that diminishes them, or compromise their values just to avoid conflict or loneliness, convincing themselves it's love. But true self-trust is born in courage. The courage to say no when everyone else is saying yes, the courage to walk away when everyone else is telling you to stay, and the courage to speak your truth even if it risks rejection or misunderstanding. Every time you choose courage, your heart whispers, "I am worth protecting." And the shocking reality is that the more you ignore that whisper, the more you attract relationships that mirror your fear, keeping you trapped in cycles of disappointment, heartbreak, and unfulfilled longing. Courage doesn't guarantee that love will be easy or that others will respond perfectly, but it guarantees that you remain aligned with yourself, and alignment is magnetic. When you consistently choose yourself, when you draw boundaries even if your hands tremble, the universe begins to respond differently. Suddenly people respect your limits, your energy shifts, and you start to attract partners who match the bravery you bring to the table. You stop chasing validation, you stop sacrificing your peace for attention, and you start living a love life where mutual respect, honesty, and authenticity become the standard, not the exception. And here's the truth that shocks most people. The very courage that feels terrifying in the moment is the same courage that transforms heartbreak into growth, rejection into clarity, and loneliness into self-empowerment. Without courage, love becomes a series of compromises. With courage, love becomes a reflection of the trust you have in yourself. What if the reason your love life keeps leaving you confused and hurt isn't because the right person hasn't come along, but because you haven't been consistent with yourself? Consistency is the silent language your heart understands better than words, the proof that you can be trusted even when no one is watching. Most people think love is about passion, chemistry, or dramatic gestures, but real love, the kind that lasts, grows from reliability, from showing up for yourself in the small, repeated choices that define your worth. When you tell yourself you will honor your boundaries, yet constantly break them, your heart learns that it cannot rely on you. When you promise to prioritize your peace, but repeatedly tolerate disrespect or chaos, your soul begins to doubt that it matters at all. Consistency is the bridge between self-trust and emotional security. It's waking up every day and choosing the actions that align with your values, even when it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, or lonely. And here's the shocking truth. Inconsistency is not just confusing to you, it's magnetic to toxic patterns. When you are unpredictable with yourself, you attract partners who mirror that chaos, relationships that feel unstable, and connections that constantly test your patience and self-worth. But when you commit to consistency, your life starts to change in ways you didn't expect. Your heart begins to trust your decisions, your energy becomes calm and clear, and your presence sends a signal to the universe that you will no longer accept less than you deserve. Suddenly, people who cannot match your steadiness drift away, while those who can show up fully. Your love life transforms not because someone else changed, but because your internal rhythm of trust and integrity reshapes the environment around you. Every repeated act of honesty, every consistent boundary, every small commitment you keep with yourself whispers to your soul, you are safe, you are enough, you are worthy. And the shock is this: love isn't something you chase or force, love is something that responds naturally when you finally become someone your heart can rely on. What if the reason you keep attracting people who hurt you, misunderstand you, or leave you feeling empty isn't because love is broken, but because you haven't shown yourself compassion? Most of us believe that love requires perfection, that we must always get it right, that mistakes are failures, and that our past choices define our worth. But compassion is the secret ingredient that allows self-trust to thrive. It is the gentle voice that says, I am learning, I am growing, I am worthy of love, even when I stumble. Without compassion, your heart becomes a harsh critic, replaying every misstep, every wrong choice, every heartbreak, and in doing so, you unconsciously teach the world how to treat you. People reflect the energy you hold when you punish yourself, tolerate no forgiveness, and demand constant perfection. You attract relationships that echo that same judgment and rigidity. Compassion is not weakness, it is radical strength. It is understanding that you are human, that you will make choices you later regret, that you will sometimes love imperfectly, and yet you remain deserving of deep, authentic connection. And here's the shocking truth: when you finally practice self-compassion, the world shifts. Suddenly, red flags become easier to see without fear of guilt, toxic patterns feel less magnetic, and the people who cannot meet you with kindness and respect naturally fade away. Your energy becomes magnetic for those who are capable of loving the real, flawed, messy, and evolving you. Every act of forgiveness toward yourself teaches your heart that it can survive mistakes, that love is not punishment, and that mistakes are not signals of inadequacy but invitations to growth. When self-compassion enters the heart of your relationships, everything changes. Arguments no longer leave permanent scars, misunderstandings become opportunities for connection, and your love life starts to feel like a safe, nurturing space rather than a battlefield. And the most shocking part of all is this: the love you've been searching for outside has been waiting for you to offer it to yourself first, because the way you treat yourself becomes the blueprint for every other love you allow into your life. What if the reason you keep attracting the wrong people isn't bad luck, timing, or fate, but because you've never used yourself as the filter for love? Most of us spend years learning to read others, to detect red flags, to adjust ourselves to fit someone else's expectations, and yet we ignore the one person whose judgment matters most: ourselves. Self-trust is not just about confidence or self-esteem. It is the internal compass that tells you what is safe, what is healthy, and what will nourish your soul. Without it, you compromise, tolerate, and settle for love that doesn't serve you, convincing yourself that it's better than being alone. But here's the shocking truth: when you finally trust yourself fully, your entire love life changes. You start noticing patterns you used to ignore, conversations you used to justify, and behaviors you used to accept, because now your inner voice has authority. You no longer chase validation or affection from those who cannot give it, because you realize the most important validation comes from honoring your own boundaries and instincts. Self-trust becomes the ultimate relationship filter because it teaches you what is negotiable and what is non-negotiable, what feels like genuine connection and what feels like compromise disguised as love. And here's the twist that shocks most people. The moment you start filtering relationships through self-trust, heartbreak actually decreases. The people who are not meant to stay fall away naturally without drama because your inner clarity has drawn a line you will not cross. You start attracting partners who meet you with the same level of respect, integrity, and care that you now demand of yourself. Every decision becomes simpler. Every doubt becomes a signal to check in with your own standards. And the confusion, the chaos, the cycles of disappointment that once defined your love life start to fade. The energy that once went into worrying about others is now invested in knowing yourself, protecting yourself, and choosing only what aligns with your soul. And the most shocking revelation of all is this. The love you've been waiting for isn't out there in someone else. It's the reflection of the trust, wisdom, and boundaries you finally cultivate within yourself. What if the reason your love life has been full of confusion, heartbreak, and disappointment isn't because love is complicated, but because you've been betraying yourself without even realizing it? Every compromise you made out of fear, every boundary you ignored to keep someone happy, every choice you thought was sacrificing for love but actually sacrificed your own soul was a silent act of self-betrayal. And the shocking truth is that no relationship can survive the betrayal of self. No amount of chemistry, passion, or connection can make up for the loss of trust between you and your own heart. Mastering the 4 C's, clarity, courage, consistency, and compassion, is not just a self-help exercise. It is a revolution within your own being, a complete recalibration of how you show up for yourself in every moment. When you become clear about who you are, brave enough to honor yourself, consistent in your actions, and compassionate with your mistakes, you stop seeking external validation, stop settling for less, and stop tolerating behaviors that do not align with your worth. And here's the part that shocks most people. The moment you truly stop betraying yourself, your love life stops being a series of random, painful lessons and starts being a reflection of your own integrity. People who once confused or hurt you now either step up or step away, naturally creating space for love that mirrors the respect, alignment, and self-trust you have cultivated. Every choice becomes intuitive rather than desperate. Every relationship becomes intentional rather than reactive, and the fear that once dictated your love life loses its power. You start to notice that the love you've been searching for externally has always been waiting internally, in the way you honor your own heart, keep your own promises, and refuse to compromise your peace for temporary approval. And the most astonishing truth of all is that when you master self-trust completely, love stops feeling like a gamble or a struggle, and instead becomes a natural extension of the trust, respect, and compassion you now live with every day. As we've explored today, the journey of love doesn't start with someone else. It starts with the trust, courage, clarity, consistency, and compassion you cultivate within yourself. When you honor your own heart, when you stop compromising your peace, and when you align your actions with your deepest truth, love stops being a struggle and becomes a reflection of the incredible self-trust you carry. Remember, the relationships you've always dreamed of are waiting not out there, but in the reflection of the respect, boundaries, and integrity you finally give yourself. Embrace these 4 C's, let them guide you, and watch as your love life transforms in ways you never imagined. Good luck on this journey of self-discovery and self-trust. Thank you for allowing yourself the courage to listen, reflect, and take these lessons to heart. Your heart is worthy, your love is worthy, and your life is ready to mirror the trust you have in yourself.